Oh my god. You could have knocked. Where have you even been? I haven't seen you since fucking December.
That's not important now. What's important is that you're sitting on your ass this summer, and not working on a video.
I mean, I'll think of something to post in the upcoming weeks.
What about right now, you fucking swine? You've got over 1,000 people waiting to see some new shit.
Excuse me, what?
See for yourself.
Oh shit. Yeah. Well, in that case, what should I even do?
Well, what month is it?
It's June.
And you know what that means?
Half year list. Oh my fucking god, dude. I'm a fucking genius. I'm so good at this, you know. This could be capable of doing rocket science, alright? The human mind is absolutely amazing, okay? You should try it sometime.
Shouldn't have wasted my energy teleporting to this goddamn shithole.
Hello everybody, I am back with yet another video. If you couldn't tell by the title, I will be discussing my albums of the half year list, which is essentially my top albums of the year from January to June. The reason why I'm making this video is, well, first off, I need fucking content. And second off, I think it would just be easier when I do make my actual, like, official album of the year list, just to give something to refer back to and to also compare and contrast what's changed and whatnot. Let's just jump into it. I will be starting off by giving 5 honorable mentions. They are in no particular order. On my list we have Kevin Abstract's Arizona Baby, Omar Apollo's Friends, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards Fishing for Fishies, Shoes Girl with a Basket of Fruit. I've listened to that record like twice because it fucking gives me nightmares every time I listen to it. But I appreciate how just out there and left field it is. And the last one I have is Johnny's Satanic Prostitute. If you want to know my opinions on any of these albums, then put them in the comments below and I will be more than happy to answer them. So with all of that out of the way, let us discuss my number 10 spot, which goes to Ulta Bulk Beavers Hits. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm gonna pull a Fantano and just have the text-to-speech over it. Yeah, speaking of Fantano, thanks to him and some of my other friends who recommended this album to me, I decided to give this thing a shot, and holy fuck, the energy on this thing is through the roof. It just constantly hits you in the face. Sometimes you feel like the madness is all over and you finally have a seconds to breathe, but as soon as you think that, they release a wave of chaos that shoots all the oxygen out of your system, and the whole cycle repeats for 26 minutes. The reason why this is on my number 10 list is because I've never been so physically drained from listening to an album before. The energy is just a bit too overwhelming for me, especially coming from someone like me who's very shy and quiet and just likes to, you know, be calm. That doesn't mean that I hate this album whatsoever. I really love the unexpectancy, especially when I was coming into this album completely blind. I would have never expected cute-ass Japanese vocals and noise punk rock to be such a good blend. Like, legit, throughout the whole thing, I was just against my wall. I was essentially doing this, and my eyes were, like, about to fall out of my head because I was just in complete shock. Nevertheless, this album is definitely an experience that will not be forgotten, and yeah, go ahead and check it out if you're wanting a surprise. On my number 9 list, we have Ari Lennox's Shea Butter Baby, and as you could assume from the album title, this fucking project is as smooth as butter. I love how some of the songs just really have that nice R&B groove to it. Ari's voice dances with the production, even on the slower tracks. Shea Butter Baby is mostly a fun album. There's nothing too like lyrically impactful or deep about it. I mean, she's got a fucking song about having sex near a dumpster. So, however, I do love how she nonchalantly sprinkles in these concepts of independence and love. For me, this is just meant to be a fun pastime listen. Number 8 on my list is Pups' Morbid Stuff. From what I've picked up from the album lyrically, this is essentially the lead singer just telling his story on what has been going on in his life. You could hear this man essentially going insane as you move further through the album. The guitars are stinging and really punch you in the face, and the lyrics are raw and even feel like salt and ice placed on your skin. It isn't afraid to slap you with the reality of what's going on in this particular person's life, yet it's still approachable due to its explosive punk rock sound. And even sonically, this thing sounds amazing. It does have this sort of twist when it comes to that punk rock sound. Number 7 on my list goes to Rico Nasty's Anger Management. This album felt like Rico was giving some sort of performance and letting all that anger out in that first half of the project. This kind of idea was emphasized on the little like Nasty World skit, and then after that it sounded as if she just got backstage and just did a lot of reflecting, which is a really nice switch in sound and atmosphere. I liked the unexpected versatility that this project had to offer. I was expecting this mixtape to be all bangers, but instead we got a little bit of everything. Her slower songs didn't pop out to me compared to her loud and intimidating energy. However, the lack of heavy production on those kind of tracks really put a spotlight on her lyrical abilities. The only song that just didn't click with me at all was Mood, and I feel like a lot of people would agree with me on this. Splurge was just sounded so fucking lazy compared to Rico. It wasn't as if Splurge was trying to match up with Rico's intense, chaotic energy. It was more of the opposite, which I kind of had a problem with. Rico just tried to be like chill, but it just doesn't really work for her character. It kind of seemed forced and unnatural for her. But other than that, I still really enjoy this album, and I'm so fucking happy for her that she was able to get a spot on the XXL freshman class this year. Number 6 on our list is Flume's Hi, This Is Flume mixtape. So when I was really like trying to listen to this album and get an opinion on it, I was also watching the visualizer of this, and it just heightens the whole entire experience. This mixtape was essentially candy for both my ears and my eyes, which was really nice. As for the music itself, it was nice to hear so much versatility with just noises. Was I blown away by every single track? Not necessarily. However, I do appreciate the amount of work and creativity that was put into this mixtape, and I'm also not one to really listen to these more production-based albums. I love listening and reading into lyrics, so for this to be in my top 10 just kind of gives another factor that makes this album special to me. Alright, before we get into my top 5 albums, I'm gonna give you all a
commercial break.
No, I'm not sponsored. Whoever fucking sponsors this channel must be very, very desperate. But I just want to give an announcement to say that I am doing commissions. If you didn't know, I liked art, so I decided to open up commissions and test the waters. I'll put some of my art on the screen, and if you're interested, contact me on my social medias on Twitter and Instagram. Message me on Discord or email me too. If you're interested in purchasing or just want to look into more of my art, then links will all be in the description and all that good stuff. Alright, enough blabbering about that. Let's move on to the top 5. For the 5th spot on my list, it goes to Injury Reserve's self-titled Injury Reserve. Every song has left some sort of impression on me, whether it be the sound, the lyrics, or maybe even both. Each bar kind of hits you along with the beat. They also form their songs in a way that throws you off at first, but you grow to love it. A good example is Rap Song Tutorial, which is probably my favorite song out of the entire project. With this diversity of sound, they still managed to pinpoint the lyrics to be centered around the different struggles and hardships in each of the members' lives. It essentially just sounds like an autobiography if it was consumed and regurgitated by a Decepticon. And I fucking love it. Number 4 on my list is Tabby's Recorded in My Car. This is hands down Tabby's best project in my opinion. I don't want to try and compare this to his other works because my reviews aren't really all about that. All I can say is that he has definitely grown as an artist over the years. I think he's finally comfortable and has also found a style that fits his voice well because it's just so unique and cartoonish in a way that it just either works or it doesn't for me. Especially when he started experimenting with his singing voice. That was also like, okay, it's gonna be really good or it's just not gonna click with me. But when he sung in this project, it just fucking fit like a puzzle piece. Especially when he started singing in Sub-Zero. That style just fit really well with him. It's definitely one of my favorite songs off this record. When I first heard him starting to rap, some of his stuff seemed a bit forced and it just sounded like he was trying to fit too much. But this time he seemed much more relaxed, much more comfortable, while still having those amazing, clever, witty bars. And Dylan, the producer who fucking made all of the beats, your production's great. Like, holy fuck. And I also just love how him and Tabby just work together so well. Moving on to number 3 on my list, we have Ravina's Lucid. Lucid is absolutely breathtaking. It may not be the most impactful or attention-grabbing lyrically or even sonically to some, but for me, each song has hypnotized my state of mind to become more relaxed and even spiritual in a way. The first part of the album was a bit slow, but things really started to kick off after then. Each track has its own charisma and beauty to it. Ravina's vocals just lift your soul and comfort you with this like warm hug of love and affection. The light and calming instrumentals just seem so magical, and they hit me in a way as if there's this spell just taking over my body. Ravina is essentially this angel that takes you into her arms and shows you around this enchanting place that you would have never imagined existed. Onto the second album of this half year, we have Tyler the Creator's Igor. It's a beautiful story about love. Tyler has really experimented sonically and it all seemed to work in order to paint this masterpiece. I talked about this album in my Igor review, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. But to sum it up, every song stood out and was unique in its own way. This was one of the very few albums where I remembered how each and every song went after the first initial listen. I admired the contrast of the colorful, sweet vocals with the grit and distortion of the bass, drums, and even Tyler's voice. I also applaud him for composing something so beautiful. Even if there is this kind of ugly aspect behind it, in no way does it really ruin the listening experience. So after all those albums, you may be wondering to yourself, what the fuck is this girl's number 1 album of this half year? My number 1 album of this list, hands down, goes to Lil Dicky's Earth. Yep, even though it's a single, it's fucking superb. Okay, I'm joking. It's obviously Chris Brown. Okay, I'm joking. Okay, haha, got you. It's Chris Brown's Indigo. I have managed to love 2 hours of Chris Brown, surprisingly. The number 1 album goes to Little Sim's Grey Area. Grey Area was a way of self-reflection for Sims. She's not trying to find solutions, she's just putting her life and problems on display to analyze them. You can feel the indecisiveness in her tone and even hear it in her lyrics as she's trying to figure out why she feels a certain way or why a specific incident had to happen. This album is like a black and white documentary on someone who's lost in life. Every lyric left me speechless and resonated with me in some way. The production is very dark and simplistic at times, yet that intensifies her story into a more cinematic experience. There's not a whole lot I could necessarily commentate about this album. It's more of something that you have to kind of hear for yourself and really take the time to process and soak it all in. I just think this project is absolutely phenomenal. And if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's fucking amazing. Well, that's all the albums that we'll be discussing in this video. Maybe Chris Brown's Indigo will actually be album of the year, okay? who knows? And if you leave in the comments shit like, oh, why isn't so-and-so on the list, blah 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 blah, it's either I haven't gotten into it, or I just haven't really listened to a specific album enough times for me to be like, oh yeah, this was memorable to me. Put it in my top 10 list. Like, here's just a few of the albums that I haven't gotten into. Alright, I have a lot of catching up to do, but this video kind of serves as a checkpoint of all the progress that I've accomplished so far. We'll see how things change in the near future. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff. Follow me on my Spotify, Twitter, Instagram. Links will be in the description down below. And if you're interested in purchasing my art, then go ahead and also go into the description. That's really all I have to say. Yeah, see you guys in the next video.
Yeah.